In one of the previous videos, we've taken a look at Puppeteer and the advantages it has over using the regular Fetch API to handle web scraping. Now the thing is, in some advanced use cases you do want extra functionalities for Puppeteer, such as not appearing like a bot, right? If you're using a bot, you are a bot, but you don't want to seem like a bot. So your user agent shouldn't be something a bot uses, right? How do we pretend that our Puppeteer Chromium browser is not a real bot? And also, how do we get past authentication? If we want to scrape something that is behind authentication, how do we do that? Well, that's what we're going to take a look at in this video. Let's get right into it. Okay, here we are. This is probably the most simple Puppeteer application you can possibly have. If you don't know what this is and don't know how to set this up, I'd advise you to check out the last video I did on the topic where we set up a basic Puppeteer project and get into the basics of scraping an online bookstore. How do we get the data to a JSON file? By the way, the data you can see here, so we get the title, price, image source, and rating. If you don't know how to do that with Puppeteer yet, check out that video, and if you do, then let's get into some advanced concepts. So, first one I want to get into is bot protection. So if we go to this website right here, the domain is bot.zenisoft.com. You can see when I go to it with a normal browser, a lot of the stuff is green, right? The user agent is green. The WebDriver, WebGL vendor, hairline feature, like a lot of stuff is green. And in normal user browsers, this is the case. However, when we navigate to this page with Puppeteer, so we have the browser, then we open a new page, go to the URL I've just entered here, and then let's take a screenshot. So let's take a screenshot at path.bot.jpg. So it's gonna do this and save a screenshot. So let's say yarn dev, start up the Puppeteer application that we've defined in the package.json. So it does tsnodeindex.ts. It saves the screenshot. And as you can see, when we navigate to it with Puppeteer, well, we look like a bot. Maybe because we are a bot, like this is a bot. But we don't want to appear like a bot, right? That's the secret. So how do we not appear like a bot? And the solution might be simpler than you think. There is an npm package called npm Puppeteer extra plugin stealth that I'm going to show you really quick. And essentially, it's a very famous package. Essentially, all you need to do is install it and have Puppeteer extra, and that can allow us to bypass that bot protection. So let's go into our project, say yarn add Puppeteer extra, and then we also want this plugin, so it's called Puppeteer extra plugin stealth. Let's copy that, paste it in here, press enter. That's going to install those two dependencies. And yeah, then there's not a lot of stuff involved and we can seem like an actual, not bot. So exactly what we want. So we can import Puppeteer from Puppeteer-extra in this case, not from the regular Puppeteer. Then we're going to import the stealth plugin. So let's call it stealth plugin, just like they do in their documentation down here. We're doing the same thing. So if you're getting lost, you can rewatch the video or go to their docs. So we require, and then here we're going to say Puppeteer extra plugin stealth. That's what we want. And that is pretty much all we need to do. Now we might get an error in a second that I'm going to show you. But first, let's say Puppeteer.use. So we can use a middleware in here, just like the if we were working with Express, for example, stealth plugin, and we're gonna invoke that. Okay, and let's try out doing the same thing again. So we're going to the bot website and try to fetch the screenshot from it. However, we get an error. An executable path or channel must be specified for Puppeteer core. And as far as I know, that is nothing that is mentioned anywhere in the documentation or online. So if you actually want to use this package, because I think the last update was like 4 months ago, so they haven't thought about this yet. So the solution to that would be to actually get the executable path from Puppeteer, from the original Puppeteer. So we can destructure an import and say is equal to require Puppeteer. And from here we can get the executable path. And now where do we pass that? Well, it is an option in the Puppeteer.launch. So we can say executable path is equal to, or not equal to, but in the object notation, executable path, and then invoke that function. And that should make the error go away. So let's retry. Let's go to the website. As you can see, done. So it worked. And now if we go to the bot.jpg, you can see, oh, wow, we don't seem like a bot. And that's pretty cool. That's exactly what we want, right? So now we appear as a real user, exactly what we want. So we can bypass bot detection. And let's now go to a website that was one of my first ever full stack projects. Now it doesn't look as amazing in Firefox apparently. And the database is not even working anymore. I did this project with Firebase, but it's not about the page, it's about the login. So this is a site I own, so I can show you how to scrape this. Be careful when scraping. Some companies don't allow it. It's against their terms of service. That's why I can't show you this for an actual like Reddit login or Facebook or whatever, because they would be getting quite mad that I'm scraping their website. So I'm going to show you that on my personal website that I'm hosting. Okay, let's navigate to this page right here in Puppeteer. We can close that. We can even delete that. We can also delete the data. We don't need that anymore. Let's navigate to this domain right here. And now if you're doing this yourself, please try with an actual like login that would make sense to you. There's no point in, you know, logging into this site right here. If you do it, then I just advise you to do it, you know, like properly and not just with my example site. All right, so how do we type into this input field? Well, the first step is, as always, we need the selector. So as you can see right here, the input has an ID, that's email address. We could also select it through an attribute like the name email right here. But we're gonna just use the email address ID. And now here we can say await page, and at the page, well, we have a lot of options that we could use. In this case, we're gonna use type. So that is literally typing as the first argument. We're gonna pass the selector, then the text that we're gonna type. So we're gonna pass the selector. It's gonna be hashtag email address, and then as whatever we're gonna type, I have defined an admin underscore email that we are gonna use as the email. So you could put it as environment variable, or well, if you do put it as an environment variable, then some other work is needed. It's not that easy working with environment variables in Puppeteer. So I just have it in a different file. And wait, that was really hard to see. So let's await a page.wait for timeout. Timeout. Let's give it 5 seconds so we can actually see how the email gets input into the field. So let's start the Chromium. And as you can see, okay, this is the email that I've defined. And now we're going to do the same thing with a password. So let's go to the password field, go to inspect. The ID is password, great. So we can use that right here. We're going to say await page.type. We want to type into the password field. And what do we want to type? Well, we want to type the admin password. Save that. Let's go to the Chromium and see what happens. So as we can see, the password was typed in, and now we need to click the sign in button. Now it's on German, doesn't really matter. Same thing, we want the selector. So let's see how we can get the button. So there's an attribute type submit that we could use. So let's say await page.click, and then we want to select the hash. Well, no, it's not a hashtag, it's a well, how do we address this button type submit? Okay, so I've just looked up the attribute selector here on my left. As you can see, that is what we're going to use. So we're going to say these square brackets, and in here we're going to define the attribute. So type is equal to submit, and let's see if that works. Yarn dev, let's open Chromium, and it should click the sign in button, and as you can see, it did, and it signed us into the web page. Okay, let's have a bit of a longer timeout. Let's give it 15 seconds. Yarn dev, And so as you could see, we logged in successfully as an admin, clicked on the sign in button. This is completely automatically. And now we are in the admin dashboard. Now, if you did this with like Reddit or YouTube or whatever, which obviously I really advise against, you should never do that, right? You would be in your account and could do whatever you want that you need to be authenticated for, and scrape whatever you want. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Those were the two concepts I wanted to let you know. So how to go through authentication and how to appear like you are not what you really are, which is a bot. So this is just a crawler pretty much. We don't want to appear as a crawler though, to bypass bot protection. Now, if you get into really advanced use cases where you have like a CAPTCHA, there is like a CAPTCHA solver even on NPM, which I think is absolutely hilarious, because CAPTCHA, you know, a bot should be able to solve a CAPTCHA. Well, this might not be it, but there was another package that I saw. No, it's not this either. Well, it is definitely possible to solve CAPTCHAs with Puppeteer, and that I find that hilarious. But yeah, those are the concepts I wanted to show you. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed them and found them useful, and build something cool with it. If so, let me know. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.